I want to acknowledge St. Patrick. We sometimes take him for granted, I think, but we have a little fun with him. But St. Patrick is the patron saint of Ireland, and I don't know, I might have told you this last year, but I'll tell you again in case you don't remember. But it turns out, I mean, he was actually born in England, and when he was a child, he was kidnapped by pirates and taken to Ireland. And after many years in Ireland, he escaped, went back to England, and studied to become a priest. And then he was sent by the Catholic Church back to Ireland to convert those pagan Irish people. And one of the things that he did is he used the clover, the three-leaf clover, to teach the principle of the Trinity. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And he established schools all around Ireland, and he worked, I don't know, 30 years before he finally passed away. Did a lot of really good things there. It's interesting because as I look at it, the clover has been used before, sort of traditionally, and the four-leaf clover, which we're kind of all familiar with right now, which is just basically an aberration in the plan. It's a variation on the three-leaf clover. But the three leaves of the clover were also seen as faith, hope, and love. Remember out of 1 Corinthians? And the fourth leaf is luck. You trust the Irish. Come on, guys. Faith, hope, and love, and luck. So, if you got a four-leaf clover, that's what it's all about. So, thank you, St. Patrick, for all the reminders and for all the fun, frankly, that we have when we indulge in St. Patrick's Day. Now, I want to talk a little about health and vitality, because this morning I want to, as I mentioned earlier, look at this from a couple of perspectives. I want to focus a little on some worldly stuff, because we are in this world, we have these wonderful things called bodies that we need to pay attention to. But I don't want to forget the spiritual, so we'll kind of balance a little this morning. And I gave you a little handout. So for those of you who want some physical clues, I have given you a couple on here. And I want to, you don't have to look at them right now, that's all for later. But I realized as I looked at these, some of them kind of go together. The first two is nutrition and purity. Well, nutrition, the way we like to describe this is ingest the best, forget the rest. Now, we know this in terms of food. If there's food you don't like, you're not going to eat it. Now, theoretically, if there's food that's not good for you, even if you like it, you wouldn't eat it. But we haven't quite gotten all that yet, okay? But this also has to do with us mentally. Take in what supports you. Take in what affirms you. Take in what reminds you the truth of who you are, and forget the rest. No matter where it comes from. The second principle on here is purity. Well, purity, pretty much, we're going to take in the good stuff. Purity is all about letting go of the stuff that doesn't serve us anymore. Again, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, worldly. Anything that does not uplift you, does not affirm who you really are, let go of it. Purify your life. The next two are movement and breath. Again, they go together. Isn't that interesting how this all works out? I love this. We've had this little card around for, I don't know, years, 20 years, something like that. And I just saw today how they kind of go together. But, you know, life is flow. We've all heard that. You also, somebody someday talk to a real medical doctor and see if there are, how many exceptions there are to this. But my own experience experience is, from all the study I've done, is that someplace upwards of 90% of all illness and disease is caused by a lack of proper flow. Something isn't flowing right. Therefore, we get a message. That's all illness and disease is, guys. It's a message. So this principle of movement is to basically go with the flow. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream in the direction of the flow. Doesn't mean you won't get there, by the way, by trying to row cross current or row upstream, but it's a little tougher doing it that way. So it's just to remind us to find our natural flow in life. And breath is one of the ways that we do that. On every inhale, you know it's called inspiration for a reason? It's meant to fill you with spirit, inspire, to bring spirit in. And every exhalation is letting go of what's done its job, out to be recycled again. A specialized principle of flow. The next three, there's three in this, couldn't help it. Thought, attitude, and health. You know, this is all about the third unity principle, thoughts create. So we need to always remember to choose to think those thoughts that, again, that affirm us, that free us, to help us remember who we really are. And it flows into health because if, in fact, we focus on the unhealthy, if we focus on the problems, if we focus on the illness, if we focus on the craziness, we're actually going to create an experience of more of that in our own life. If we focus on the wholeness, if we focus on the holiness, we will create that in our own lives. I skipped over attitude, but you got it. Attitude, the attitude of gratitude. You know, what you're grateful for, what you appreciate, again, you experience more of. So those three all kind of go together. And then there's balance and rest, the final two. You know, the Buddha is the one who is famous for being quoted for saying, moderation in all things. Okay? But that's true. It also means don't stay with anything too long. Also, don't leave too soon. It's the Goldilocks principle. Just right. Not too hot, not too cold. So it really is creating a sense of balance in your life. And we know this, don't we? I mean, if you just look at your physical body, you know when you're in balance, and you know when you're not in balance. You're working harder. It's the same thing in your life. If you're out of balance somewhere, you're spending more time trying to straighten things up, you know something's wrong. Bring it back into balance. And the final principle is rest, which comes right along with that because part of balance is making sure that you rest. There's rest in activity. There's yin and there's yang. There's the feminine and the masculine. The negative and the positive. There's all these wonderful polarities. Well, while we're in this world, we need to pay attention to those and we need to balance those. So now another little tip, because Betty Lou reminded me of this weekend. In your life, take some time and list all of the things that you do with your time, energy, money. List everything. That'll take a little while. Then go down that list and mark everything A, B, or C. Here's the key. You'll remember this easily. A's are things that you love to do. They're things that when you do them, you are inspired and you remember who you are, that awaken you, that enliven you. You're pretty clear on what the A's are in your life? B's are those things that are neutral. No, it's okay. I mean, it's not bad, not good. It just is what it is. It's all right. No charge on it. It's okay. C's are those wonderful things you say, oh my God, I wish there was somebody else who could do this. This I don't want to do. This one doesn't fill me with life energy. It doesn't inspire me in any way. So you've now got a long list of things that you do. They're all labeled A's, B's, and C's. Job 1. Eliminate every single C on that list. Now, does that mean that it never gets done? Not necessarily. It might mean it doesn't get done, and you don't care that it doesn't get done. But if you care that it does get done, and you don't want to be the one doing it, guess what? We have a world full of people. Some of those people actually like to do the things that are C's on your list. Eliminate all C's. Job 2 is to take every single B on your list and make it into an A. And a little hint, if there's no way that you can really make it into an A, then toss it in with the C's and let it go. Easy to do, will be enlightening for you to do that list. And what will be even more fun is to notice any resistance you have to letting go of the C's. Now, another practical tip. You've heard this before. How many of you have things in your life that you really have to do? Yeah. Or ought to do, or must do, or gotta do, or things that just, I can't avoid it in any way. So change your languaging. If you're going to do it anyway, say, I am choosing to do this. Oh, I have to take out the garbage. See, that's very different from I'm choosing to take out the garbage. It's the same activity. It's how do you present it to yourself. Are you a victim or are you a chooser-creator in your life? The more you affirm victimhood, the more you will act like a victim and have the corresponding experience. You don't got to do anything. You're choosing to. Even if you're choosing to take the garbage out because you can't stand the smell of your house when the garbage piles up. You understand you're still choosing to do it. All right. Now, I have to tell you that probably, well, every couple of days anyway, and sometimes it's almost every day, Betty Lou and I have just this moment of, not even a conversation, just a comment. I have a really good life. And I want to tell you, I have a really good life. I like the things that I do. I like who I am. I like how I'm called to be. So my confession, if you will, to you is that I know that there's more. I know that there is more that I can be that I'm not letting myself be. And I'm inviting each of us to look at our life and ask those questions. Like, what's holding me back? You know, it's the old Tony Robbins and other people ask the same question. If money were not an issue, or time were not an issue, or if there were nothing to stop you, what would you do? If you knew you could not fail, what would you attempt in your life? So where am I holding myself back? What am I attached to that keeps me acting limited and lacking and little in my life relative to who I know I'm called to be? See, this isn't about living a better life or a happier life. It's not even about living a more comfortable life or a more admirable life. This is about living the life that I am created to live. See, we spend a lot of time, look at it right now, your life. How much time do you spend trying to improve on what isn't really purposeful? Trying to improve on the imperfect, trying to make the intolerable more tolerable. We spend so much time on that that we forget that we really are here not to improve the illusion, but to really create perfection in our own lives. Betty Lou has an analogy, a story, a picture she uses a lot. When we get off path, off our own path, a lot of different things that happen. You know, some people, when they get off their path, they keep right on going. You know, it's sort of like, okay, I'm lost, but I'm going to keep going anyway. Anybody ever done that? Men are famous for that, by the way. I made the decision to go this way. I'm going to keep going this way, and I'll eventually get where I wanted to be. Now, because we have a round earth, by the way, that would probably eventually work. But it's not exactly the most efficient way to approach things. Some people, when they get off path, they say, oh, I'm lost, they just quit. Some people, when they get off their own path, they say, well, I don't know, but it's okay here. Let me just set up camp, and maybe I'll attract some other people who are off of their path, and we'll all live happily together in this little commune here. I pulled a card this morning in our Miracles time. And it says, Holy Child of God, when will you learn that only holiness can content you and give you peace? When will you learn that only holiness can content you and give you peace? How many times do I have to seek and fail to find in the world that sense of peace? You know, we're all living in an illusion. And by the way, I don't mean that it's not real. I'm saying that the real illusion is that we fail to see ourselves as we really are. And that means we fail to see the world as it really is. So you bet, I mean, stuff hurts, stuff gets messy, stuff is inconvenient, all that kind of stuff. But the real illusion is we pretend to be human. And we have settled ourselves into working very, very hard to create a much better illusion. If I just had more money, then I'd be more comfortable. If I just had a partner, then life would be really simple. If just this, if just that. You know, we grin and bear it. We make the best of the circumstances. You know, we're busy making lemonade and saying it's all in divine order. See, what is in divine order is not the stuff that happens. It's how we respond to the stuff that happens. That's our opportunity to experience divine order. Do you get the distinction there? It's not that all this stuff is all in divine order. It shows up so that we can respond in a way that we see or understand or experience divine order in our own lives. Otherwise, frankly, we're being irresponsible, meaning we're not taking responsibility. Well, it's all up to God. It's all in divine order. It'll all work out. Or I don't know what to do with it, so I'll just tell myself it's in divine order. I don't have to find a way. Find a way. find the way to experience divine order in your own response. So how do we know what's right for us? You know, we spent our lives listening to what other people tell us is right for us. And we're pretty good. You know, we've about perfected this whole Pavlovian response to doing whatever it takes to get ourselves fed. That doesn't make it right for us. A lot of times what happens is we want to be like someone else. Someone we admire, someone genuinely good and holy and wonderful. But that doesn't make it right for us. The only way we know what's right for us is to listen inside. And I know we talk about this a whole lot. And because our inner listening is a little rusty, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it probably is not going to be very reliable when you start listening. Any of you ever worked on plumbing in your house or had someone work on plumbing in your house, and when it's all done and the pipes are put back together again, you turn the water on, what comes out first? Spud, sputter, garbage, mud, stuff comes out of there. You have to run the faucet. Same thing with your inner listening, your inner guidance. What you're going to hear all your own garbage that's accumulated in there. Keep the flow going. Keep the faucet turned on. And even when you get good at it, it's absolutely essential to listen every step of the way. You know, if I want to get to the fellowship hall, I know that it's right there. So I can say, okay, I know, in my mind, I know exactly where the fellowship hall is. It's 180 degrees behind me. All I have to do is turn around and walk straight there. Not going to work, is it? What happens is I have to listen. Okay, how do I get there? All right, you go left. Terrific. How far left? Well, I keep listening. Then I go right. Then I go right. Then I go right. And I have a nice, easy path. But if I stop listening at any step of the line, I'm going to run into a wall. Same thing with your inner listening. You have to continue listening. Because whatever errors in your hearing, whatever mud and sputter comes out of those pipes that haven't been used for a long time, will immediately be corrected by the next listening. It's a process of minor course corrections taken at the right time to prevent you from getting totally lost. When we make little compromises in our life, oh, I'll just let that slide, or that's okay, we'll let that go. You ever notice how that really piles up on you and suddenly you're in a mess of hot water? The I Ching says handle it while it's small, because you don't want to mess with it when it's big. You know, it's a story, you guys have all heard this, the story of the frog in water, in hot water. You know, if you take a frog and you throw him in a bucket of boiling water, I mean, if he survives, he's going to jump out of there as fast as he can. But if you put a frog in room temperature water and turn the heat up underneath that frog will just sit there happy as heck and then cook to death. We are all cooking a slow death because we're not paying attention. Only by listening and following do we know how much time do I spend here, how much time do I spend there, how much inner time, how much outer time, how much activity and how much rest. Who am I to see, what am I to say, where am I to go? Every step of the way. And when we perfect that and listen to and immaculately follow that voice, we will experience personal, healthy living on all levels. Back to the very, very beginning, when we are personally healthy, the body of God perfectly healthy. And that's when we have an experience